Hi students, today we are going to discuss about pteridophytes. So we have already seen the characteristics of algae and bryophytes under plant kingdom. Now we are moving on to the next category, and the next category is pteridophytes. Okay. Now some of the characteristics of pteridophytes are listed here. So what is the first characteristics? The first characteristic is that they have specialized transport of vascular tissue. Vascular, you know what is vascular? Vascular are the term which is used for representing conduction. Okay, they are helping in conduction of water and food. Now there are two vascular tissue. What are the two vascular tissues? One is the xylem and another one is the phloem. Okay, so first one is what? Xylem, and the second one is phloem. The xylem and phloem are playing a major role in conducting something in plants. So what is xylem conducting? They are conducting water and minerals. And what is phloem conducting? They are conducting food. So these till now, till bryophytes, we didn't discuss about what the vascular tissues. But moving on to pteridophytes, they have vascular tissues, which means there is a presence of xylem and phloem which is helping in conduction of water, minerals and food from one part to another. Like water and minerals will be carried from the root to the leaves, isn't it? And food from the leaves which is prepared, or where in the stems it is prepared, it is carried to different parts. Along with that you can find it is also carried to the roots. So here first characteristics is that pteridophytes have vascular tissue. Okay. The second characteristic is, like bryophytes, the pteridophytes is also having alternation of generation. We have learnt already in bryophytes, gametophyte, there is a generation called as what? Gametophyte, followed by sporophyte. Again gametophyte, sporophyte. Gametophyte is haploid, n number, and sporophyte is diploid, 2n number, isn't it? We have already learnt. The same here also you can find gametophyte and sporophyte is there, but in bryophytes the major plant body, the plant which I am seeing is all a gametophyte, but in case of pteridophytes it is a sporophyte. So main plant body in bryophyte, what it is gametophyte, and what is the main plant body in pteridophytes? It is sporophyte. Okay, so this one you have to remember. Sporophyte is dominant in pteridophyte, gametophyte is dominant in bryophyte. So most of the lifetime when you are seeing lifespan is a sporophyte in case of pteridophytes, and it is gametophyte in case of bryophytes, which is an important thing. So both are having alternation of generation, sporophyte and gametophytic stages. Okay, sporophyte is 2n condition, diploid, and gametophyte is n condition, that is haploid. Okay, and they are reproducing by means of spores. So what are helping for reproduction? Here the spores are playing a major role. Through sexual reproduction the spores are playing a major role, right? Now when you are seeing the divisions of these pteridophytes, it is divided into 4. What are they? Coelophyta, whisk forms. So how does the whisk form look like? You can find this, right? So this is whisk form, right? So first division is what? Coelophyta, whisk form. Lycophyta, it is club mosses. Club mosses example, which one is club mosses? The outer one, you can find this one. Okay, so this is club mosses. So when you are moving on to Lycophyta, it is club mosses. Next one is Phenophyta Horsetail is an example for Phenophyta. They are different in some aspect or other based on the morphology, right? So this is horsetail, right? So when you are moving on to Phenophyta, it is horsetail, and Pterophyta, that is ferns. Okay, so regarding ferns only we are going to discuss. So this is ferns, right? So the divisions are 4: Coelophyta, Lycophyta, Phenophyta and Pterophyta. Okay, so Coelophyta it is whisk form, Lycophyta it is club mosses, Phenophyta it is horsetail, and Pterophyta it is ferns, right? So these are the various division of what? These are the various divisions of pteridophytes. Now we are going to discuss some other characteristics. They are the first terrestrial plant to possess vascular tissue, which we have already discussed. First terrestrial plant. Terrestrial means what? On the land. Okay, they are the first one who is possessing what? The vascular tissue. Followed by the pteridophytes only what came? The gymnosperm. Thereafter the plants which we are looking around, the angiosperms came. Okay, so they were the first terrestrial plants to possess what? Vascular tissue. Now plant body, I told you, it is what? It is a sporophyte, and this plant body, when you are seeing, it is being divided into, you can find how they are divided into. They are divided into roots, you can find root like structure, stem and leaves. Okay, so they are having what? Roots, stems and leaves. Roots and stems are mostly underground and the leaves are exposed. And these leaves in the ferns, we call it as ferns or pteridophytes. We can call other name for pteridophytes is what? The ferns. When you see this ferns, the leaves of the ferns are called as what? We call it as fronds. They are found above, okay, above the soil surface, okay, and they are attached to the stem. So they are attached to the stem by a stalk, okay. So one stalk like structure. So what is a stalk? You know, a leaf is attached to the stem by a stalk. So that stalk like structure is also possessed in ferns. They are having it, and that structure we call it as what? Petiole. What do we call them? Petiole. So stalk of a leaf is called as what? Petiole. So leaves are called as fronds and they are found above the ground and they are attached to the stem by means of a stalk. We call it as what? We call them as petiole, right? Now moving on to the next characteristics is their alternation of generation, their life cycle, how it is, okay. Bryophytes we have already discussed, so this will be very easy, not that much. It's the same thing only, you have to just remember that sporophyte is main here, and in case of bryophytes it was gametophyte, right? So at maturity you can find certain leaves, okay, some of the leaves of the pteridophytes, they develop structures called as sporangia. So that leaves which are having the sporangia, spore you can find brown things, right? So that is called as what? The sporangium. Where it is present on some leaves. The leaves which are having this sporangia, we call it as sporophylls. What do we call them? Sporophylls. So this is a leaf, at this green color, this one is a leaf. The leaf is called as sporophyll. On that there are structures called as what? Sporangia. Okay. Yeah. Now you see certain leaves, what they are having? They are having what? They are having sporangia. Okay. So they are having sporangia. These sporangia are borne on structures called as what? Sporophylls. The leaf we call it as what? The sporophylls. In that you are having brown round structures, that is called as sporangia. And they are also, the sporangia can also be called as strobili or cones. They are the structures which are forming the spore mother cells. They are helping in what? Reproduction, right? So the sporangia can also be called as strobili, or we can also call as cones. Cone like structures will be present on the leaves. Now in the sporangia, what is taking place? There are specialized cells. What cells? We call them as spore mother cells. Okay. So the sporangia is having some cells. These cells we call it as what? The spore mother cells. These spore mother cells undergoes meiosis. You know what is meiosis? What is happening? So sporophyte when you are seeing, so I told you pteridophyte, main plant body is sporophyte. So the leaves also will have 2n condition. From 2n condition, in the sporangia, the spore mother cells are undergoing what? Meiosis. So from 2n what will be formed? N. So that is a gamete will be formed. What will be formed? Gamete. So these gametes, spores are formed, right? So these spores when you are seeing, they are haploid. Why? Because more mother cells are undergoing meiotic division, meiosis, in which from 2n I will be getting what? I will be getting n, right? So now I have got haploid spores. These haploid spores are going to develop into gametophytes. Okay, so what they are going to give rise to? Leaf-like structures, thallus-like structure, thallus, you know, spreading structures. So that structure we call it as what? The gametophyte. So from the spores, the haploid spores, the gametophyte develops. If it is a male, it will be male gametophyte. The spore is a male, then it will be male gametophyte. And if it is a female, it will be what? Female gametophyte, right? So I repeat. So some in the sporophyte, certain leaves called as sporophylls will be bearing sporangia, strobili or cones. In that there are specialized cell called spore mother cells. They will undergo meiosis and they will be producing spores which are haploid in nature. This haploid spores will develop male and female gametophyte. They are thallus-like structures which are developed. Male gametophyte will have what? Antheridia. When they are matured up, they will be bearing what? Antheridia. and female gametophyte, they will be bearing archegonia. Now this antheridia, okay, is the male sexual part, isn't it? So they will be having specialized cells, the male gametes. They are called as what? Anthrozoids. What do we call them? Anthrozoids. We have discussed archegonia. What they have? They have egg. What is present? Egg. Now these anthrozoids, sperm-like structures, goes through water and it gets fertilized with the egg. With whom they are getting fertilized with? Through through any medium. Okay, so usually it is water. They are moving, and this anthrozoids, this male gamete is fusing with the female gamete. So what is the process taking place? Fertilization, which is resulting in the formation of this zygote. The zygote is like a seed, and they will form what? The new plant. Okay, so the new plant is formed. That plant which is formed is the sporophyte. What it is? It is a sporophyte. And the sporophyte, again, when they are matured enough, when they grow up, certain leaves will modify themselves and they will bear what? Sporangia. So leaves are called as sporophylls. What are the leaves called? We call them as sporophylls. They will have sporangia. Sporangia will have spore mother cells. They will undergo meiosis. Haploid will be formed. From diploid, again, what? Haploid will be formed, right? Now again, this haploid, male will form male gametophyte, female will form what? Female gametophyte. Now male will bear what? Antheridia, and female will bear archegonia. Anthrozoids are produced by antheridia and egg is produced by archegonia. Now anthrozoids fuses with the egg to form what? Zygote. So one end is fusing with another end. So again the zygote will be having how many? 2 end condition, diploid. So that zygote will develop into a new sporophyte, new pteridophyte. It is a sporophyte, right? So it is again what? Diploid. So this is the alternation of generation. You can find half set is what? So till spore mother cells, till here it is what? Diploid, and this side it is haploid. So you can find alternation of generation is taking place. This till this it is a sporophyte. This part is what? Sporophyte, having how many? The cells are having diploid condition. This side it is a gametophyte. The cells are having how much? They are having what? Till zygote, okay? They are having N condition. So this is alternation of generation. Gametophytic generation and sporophytic generations are altering with one another, and the life cycle continues like that. Now, the spores, when you are seeing, the spores which are produced by the spore mother cells can be of 2 types. What are the 2 types? One will be similar and another one will dissimilar. Similar means what? They are same, looking alike. Then we call it as what? Homosporous. If all the spores which are produced by the spore mother cells are alike, looking very similar, then it is homospores. If the spores which are produced by, in some cases you cannot find, they are having similar spores, spores will be different from each other, then that sort of spores we call it as what? Heterospores. Hetero, different, okay, and homo, same. So similar spores are called as homosporous, and dissimilar spores, if it is produced, that pteridophytes is having heterosporous condition. So with this we are stopping with the pteridophytes. Hope all have understood what is the role of these pteridophytes. Bryophytes we have already discussed, isn't it? So that's all for today. And one more thing is there which I have left out is uses of ferns. Okay, so ferns, as they are covering thallus like structure growing over the soil, they are preventing what? Soil erosion. Roots are holding the soil together. That's why they prevent what? Soil erosion. That is number 1. Fiddleheads are eaten as food. So one of the fern, when you are seeing, we can take it as food. So it is edible. For making salad and all, we can use it. Okay. And most of the ferns are used for ornamental purposes. Ornamental means what? For indoor plant, we are keeping it for decoration purpose at home, as to enhance the beauty of the indoor, means house, we are using it. Okay. So for indoor decorations and all, we are using these plants. So for ornamental purpose, at in the courtyards or in the garden or inside the house, ferns are used because they are very good looking in nature. The leaves and all are very nice to look at. Okay, so that is and helped form coal deposits. So millions of years these ferns were also buried along with other plants, and they have resulted in the formation of coal. Coal, you know how millions of years ago these ferns and all were buried because of compression. What happened? As well as the tilting of the earth, everything contributed to the formation of what? Coal. So ferns are also helped us in making coal. That coal is extracted and we are using it as a fuel. Okay, so these are the different uses of our ferns. Hope it's clear. That's all for today. Thank you.